Well, hey there again, everyone. This is Bob from Hot Rock Central, and in today's video, I'm going to take you through a certain section of my solar system that's quite complicated and elaborate, and the likes of you're not going to see anywhere else up on YouTube, at least not that I've seen yet. Uh, Now, I don't have the luxury of a nice video editor where I can take a complicated subject like this and break it up into chunks where it looks professional and well done. So I'm going to have to muddle through this thing here with everything that I've got to talk about, and hopefully it'll be coherent enough that you guys can follow along and understand what's going on here. So we'll get started with the backstory of my system here, what all's involved. I've got 69 solar panels, and they're all either 300 watts or better. And I've got them strung together in threes. So I've actually got 23 strings coming in here for a total of 23 kW. And they come in first of all, and they hit these breakers right here, and then I've got some more over there, 23 breakers in all. And I've got a dual inverter system, which is what makes this really complicated. And most of you guys aren't going to have a dual inverter system, so a lot of this stuff that I'm going to talk about here is not going to apply to you, and you'll see what I mean later. But anyways, there's my 48 volt 6 kW inverter, and over here is my 24 volt 6 kW inverter, and that one is active right now because it's my nighttime inverter, and it's nighttime right now. And then for chargers over here, I've got two 80 amp grow watt inverters, and they're good for 5,000 watt input on each one. And for the 24 volt system, I've got these two Victrons here, and they're good for 3,000 watts apiece. So what I do is for these two chargers here, I need 10 strings or 10,000 watts. So first thing I do is I come off my my breakers here, 10 of them, right into these positive bus bars here, two separate positive bus bars, and they feed into this knife switch here, which engages or disengages these chargers here. And these are important, as you'll see later on, because what I can do with these is I can shift the power from these chargers here over to my other system here if I need to, and I'll show you how all that goes a little bit in just a little bit. And then 6,000 watts of my solar panels are on tracking arrays. There's 3 tracking arrays that I've got, and there's 2,000 watts on each tracking array. So I've got 6 of these breakers here, and they feed directly into these contactors here. There's 6 contactors there, and then I have another 4 contactors over there coming off of these breakers here, doing the same thing. And then from the contactors, they go right into these knife switches, and these knife switches is what I use to send power from either one system to the other. Now, basically, what I have here is 10,000 watts here, and actually I only use 3,000 watts there, and the 3,000 watts for this are on float. In other words, they're going through this system here rather than being hardwired like this one and this one and this one. So anyways, that ends up being 13 strings that I'm using dedicated to my chargers, and the extra 10 that are left over go into my solar switching system. So I take all these extra panels that I've got here, and I'm able to add power to the system depending on the solar intensity, and that's what these switches up here do. They register the solar intensity, and you know, when the sun goes behind a cloud, or it's early in the morning or late in the afternoon, these will engage these contactors here and add extra power to my system. So it takes quite a bit of a load off of how much work my battery's got to do. And let me talk a little bit about these contactors here, because this is kind of important. These are AC contactors, and really this is not a good idea to use AC contactors in a DC system. Now I can get away with it because my voltage coming in off my panels is about 100, 110 volts. Sometimes I can get 120 out of it, but anyways, it's not really super high voltage. And basically, when the contactors engage, it's because there's low solar intensity and there's not a lot of current going through these contactors in the first place. And what you've got to worry about on things like this is DC arcing. And if any of you are savvy on solar systems, you know what solar arcing is. You can take a set of solar panel wires in full sunlight and put them together and then pull them apart slowly, and you'll see an arc. An arc, it'll cross the wires, sometimes a half an inch, maybe even more, of a solid arc going across there until you pull it far enough apart. So originally, when I started on this project, I was using these regular relays, and you can see the contacts, there's not much space between them. So even if there wasn't much of a load on the solar panels, there's still such a small gap between these contacts here that I would get arcing. And I've actually had some of these center contacts here turn cherry red from the arcing, which wasn't good. So I had to dump that idea and look for something else. And so I tried out these contactors, and they ended up working out pretty good. Now, I've had this system up and running for about a year now, and I haven't had any trouble with arcing. And as you know, if you've ever listened to a DC arc, I mean, it has a distinctive sizzling sound that isn't pleasant to listen to. It means danger. So I don't have that trouble with these, and if I did, I would shut this part of the system down and probably have to end up switching over to actual DC contactors, which are made specifically for DC, so arcing won't happen. But those kind of contactors are really expensive. I mean, you're talking like $100 bucks or more a piece, so that could end up costing quite a bit of money putting all these together with DC contactors. So anyways, that's working out okay for me, so I'm happy with it, and I feel safe enough about it to not have to worry about it all that much. Now, the other thing is some chargers, well, let me put it to you this way first. A lot of times when you're switching solar panels in and out, you'll end up invariably sending higher input into these chargers than what they're rated for, and some chargers just can't do that. Now, these grow watts here that I got, they are able to handle excessive input quite fine, and the Victron seem to be able to do the same thing. But I can tell you one thing for a fact: if you are an owner of a Make Sky Blue charger, you can look on their website and see. They say that if you put more input into their charger than what it's rated for, you'll burn it up. So this kind of system here is dependent on what kind of chargers you use, whether or not they'll survive a temporary excess, which can happen from time to time. So that's one thing you got to look out for when you're doing something like this. Now, what I can do as far as switching power around, I can take all 69 panels and put them on either this system here or on that system over here. And how I do that is, well, first of all, I've got the negatives for both systems here. Both negatives are tied together. There's my negative bar down there, and there's my negative bar up there, and they are both wired together. So the only thing I have to deal with is the positive side, and what I do there is if I want to send all of my panels over to, or almost all of my panels over to one system or the other, like say for example, I want to send the power from this system over to the other system, what I can do here is I can take my Frankenstein knife switches here, and disconnect one of the chargers, and that disconnects charger and leaves this open to be used any way you want it. So I've got a wire running from this positive bus bar up to a knife switch up here, and so I can take that power off that bus bar and send it to this charger here. Now if I need all the power from my solar panels, I can lift up both of these here, disconnect both chargers, and then I've got another knife switch here, and what this does is it combines both the upper and the lower positive side of the bar and puts them together, which means I can send all 10,000, well, not 10,000 watts, because when I do this, obviously it's going to be during weak sunlight, but I can send all 10 strings of solar panels over to this system here if I want to. And likewise, I can do the same thing with this system here. I can take all the power from coming into this system and send it back over to this system. So that's what's really neat about this. So typically on a regular day, a good solar day, my 48 volt system will have almost a full bank of power. So when my nighttime system switches in, what I can do as soon as that happens, I can transfer all the power from my knife switches there over to this system, and usually when this comes on, there's still about an hour and a half of daylight left, and I can use squeeze every available bit of sunlight out of all the solar panels I can to feed this before it starts dipping into the batteries. And other than that, I think that's pretty much explains how this whole system works, and I can't really think of much else to add to this. So I hope that was understandable, how all this works. And like I said, this could be a lot simpler. I've got these two systems here, and really I don't actually need the two systems, but what ended up happening is I started out with this little 4 kW down there, and when I decided to upgrade my system, I thought, well, 48 volts would be a good idea, because, well, as most of you know, when you take a charger and switch from 24 to 48 volts, you can get double the power out of a charger. So I said to myself, hey, well, I could save myself a little bit of money on chargers here by going to 48 volts rather than 24 and have to double up my chargers. Well, that was okay for a time being, but then when I went to have to go to replace batteries or needed a new 48 volt set of batteries, it's a good chunk of changing batteries, whether it's lead acid batteries or lithium batteries. You're talking a bunch of bucks to just get a set of batteries. So I decided to go with the 24 volt system for that very reason, because a 24 volt set of batteries, whether there's lead acid or lithium like you've got here, I've got 3 set up so far, and there's a box already built for a new set that's on the way. It's a little easier to handle a little bit at a time in batteries than it is to do 48 volts. So I'm spending all my energy now on beefing up my 24 volt system rather than the 48 volt system. But I'm not going to do away with this, because I've got 24 size D4 batteries sitting out in a box on the other side of the wall here on the outside. That is worth quite a bit of money. So I mean, might as well keep them and make use of them. So so what I do here is at nighttime, I've got the house running off of this right here, and during the summertime I keep this one air conditioner here running off this one here, which is just about enough power in my battery bank for the 48 volt system to run that overnight and not deplete them down too low. So make use of both systems at the same time, and it gives me all the power I need pretty much. Pretty soon here I'll have enough power where I'm pretty near being able to go off grid. Right now I'm producing probably about 90–95% of my power, and really the only time that I I need grid power is if it's a really solid crappy day, or we get a string of crappy days, which we've actually had here in the past. Almost 3 weeks in a row of really crappy weather, and I had to dig into the grid quite a few times to supplement the power I needed to supply my needs. So anyways, I think that's all I've got for this video here. Hope you all enjoyed what you saw here, and if you have any comments or questions about that, anything like that, just leave them down in the comment section, and I'll get to them as soon as I see them. Thanks for watching.